Deep in the woods of Pomfret lies Bara-Hack, an abandoned ghost town lost to time. The locals call it the Village of Lost Voices, and I was about to find out why. My friend and I arrived at dusk, the skeletal remains of houses barely visible through the tangled undergrowth. As we wandered the ruins, a sound broke the eerie silence. Laughter. Childlike, distant, yet unmistakable. My friend grabbed my arm. "Did you hear that?" I nodded, my stomach twisting. Then came the voices. Murmurs of a long-forgotten conversation, growing louder, overlapping. I spun around, but we were alone. The air grew heavy, pressing against my chest. Then, from the shadows, something moved. A figure, pale and flickering, stood at the edge of the trees. Its hollow eyes locked onto mine, and in that instant, an overwhelming sadness washed over me, as if I were drowning in centuries of sorrow. The voices rose into a deafening wail. We ran. Behind us, footsteps pounded the forest floor, chasing us until we broke through the tree line. When I looked back, the village was silent once more, but the feeling of those eyes never left me. The legend of Sawmill City Road in Shelton is one of Connecticut's most infamous hauntings. They say a man was decapitated here in a brutal accident, and his restless spirit still searches for his missing head. I didn't believe it, until I drove the road myself one foggy night. The forest loomed around me as I slowed my car, scanning the roadside. Then out of nowhere my radio crackled. Static, then a garbled voice. "Turn back." Chills crawled up my spine. The temperature inside my car plummeted. Suddenly something darted into my headlights, a figure standing in the middle of the road. I slammed the brakes, heart hammering. The man stood motionless, but something was horribly wrong. His head was missing. Before I could react, the headlights flickered, and in that split second of darkness, he vanished. A gust of wind rocked my car, and a whisper filled my ears. "Help me! Find it!" I didn't wait to see what happened next. I hit the gas and never looked back. The New London Ledge Lighthouse sits on the edge of the Long Island Sound, isolated and battered by waves. But it's not just the ocean that makes it dangerous. The spirit of Ernie, a former lighthouse keeper who met a grim fate, still lingers here. One night I was granted access to stay overnight with a small crew. At first nothing seemed unusual, just the sound of waves and the distant foghorn. But then, at precisely 3 a.m., the air grew thick, suffocating. The room turned icy. A door down the hall slammed shut. "Who's there?" I called out, but only silence answered. Then footsteps, heavy, deliberate, echoing from the stairwell. They stopped just outside my room. I held my breath as the doorknob rattled. My heart pounded. Slowly the door creaked open, but no one was there. Then the whisper came. "Still here. Still waiting." The next morning, I found deep scratch marks on the inside of the door, fresh, as if someone had been clawing to get out. I left the lighthouse that day, but I know Ernie never will. The ghostly hitchhiker of Route 59 has been seen for decades. A young woman in a white dress waiting by the roadside, but those who pick her up regret it. I was driving home late when I saw her. She stood just beyond the streetlights, her face hidden by her long, dark hair. Against my better judgment, I pulled over. "Need a ride?" I asked hesitantly. She nodded and got in. The air turned frigid. My breath fogged up the windshield. I tried making small talk, but she stayed silent, her hands folded neatly in her lap. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I saw her face in the rearview mirror. Or rather, the lack of it. Her features blurred like smeared ink. My pulse pounded. I turned my head to look at her directly. But the seat was empty. My car swerved as I let out a strangled scream. I slammed on the brakes. When I looked in the mirror again, she was standing outside, right where I had picked her up. Only this time, she was smiling. The next morning, I found a single pale handprint on my back seat. I never drove Route 59 at night again. Connecticut's ghosts are relentless, forever tied to the places where they met their tragic fates. If you ever find yourself on an empty road, in an abandoned town, or near a haunted lighthouse, be careful. Some spirits don't just want to be seen, they want something more. If these stories gave you chills, don't forget to like and subscribe for more terrifying tales. And tell me, have you ever had a ghostly encounter? Share your experience in the comments below. Until next time, stay out of the darkness.